In similar news, watch how a mother handled finding out her daughter is a lesbian. Take a look.
Okay.
So she wants to put me out of her house.
Yes, you gonna get the stepping if you don't get you a man come up in here and create me a baby.
So then what am I supposed to do, Mom? You want me out the house because of who I'm dating?
Yes, I do.
And then what am I supposed to do for
you? You do what you want to do when you out my house, but long as you in my house, you gonna have a decent relationship.
But the thing
this
is,
come
Mom,
from the old school, baby.
All right. Do you think there's any excuse for a parent to treat their child this way, Armand?
Back to me. Listen, no, absolutely not. But at the end of the day, I'm the type of person that's like, listen, I get it. Like, I understand a parent wanting to have that grandchild, wanting to kind of raise that next generation. So I understand that it's very hurtful when you feel as though, damn, I'm not going to have that opportunity because you're in a same-sex relationship. So I can't take that away from parents that want that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that it's just not like that. And most relationships, especially Black families, you know, the parents they're not together. You know, a lot of us are in broken homes or, you know, step families and things like that. So we didn't get to choose, you know, the mom or dad that we got, you know. So in my household, I always told my dad and I told my mom, listen, I didn't get a choice on who you was with. Maybe if I had a choice, maybe things would be different. So at the end of the day, you're not going to make that choice for me. You get what I'm saying? Because I had to deal with whatever I had to deal with growing up. I had to learn from you. I had to deal with your mistakes. And I may not have agreed with them, but listen, this is who I am and this is what it's going to be. So just like I had to deal with it, you're going to have to deal with it too, and let's move on with love. And eventually that's what we did.
Angel Shepherd said, parents birth those kids. They have a right to feel some kind of way. And Quint Hahn said, not she's trying to pimp her daughter out. D-Love said, we can't judge, and it's not easy for the parents either, but not everything is for social media. I agree with that, Al.
I definitely agree with that. You know, I can relate to this. I'm sorry, I can. And I have to tell you, I came from a Southern Baptist mother, and I grew up with parents who said and always said, this is my house and these are my rules. So take that sexuality component out. And my mother was like, if you can't drink in this house, my mother didn't allow drinking. You can't smoke in her house. If you drink or smoke in this house, you got to go. So I understand that part. And as it relates to the sexuality part, like I said before, it's just unfortunate that some parents still are stuck in this mindset. But how do you trade that off? What's the trade-off there? She has house rules. And this is a grown young lady. Let's be clear. It's not a young kid, not in their teens, not in high school. This is a grown young lady, and she has house rules. So is she supposed to bend her house rules because her daughter is exercising a sexuality that she's not comfortable having in her own house that she pays the bills for? So I think that's something to think about when we're judging these parents and how they're behaving and what they're saying when they put their foot down on certain rules as it relates to their home.
I know back in the 1990s and early 2000s, well, 1990s, I would say, when I lived with my mom until about 92, there was no sex of any kind in her house. And It didn't matter, gay, straight, or other. There was just, and I had to go by her rules. Now, once you become an adult, you still live at home and you still need your parents' help. You probably got to listen to their rules. I would just kind of probably keep it away from my parent if I knew they were closed-minded. Unfortunately, that may not be that might be the way you want to. But what stopped me from getting a job and getting out of her house? And then you can live your life as freely as you want to, because while you're there, your mother does have some say in what happens in her house. But outside of her house, once you're an adult, I think you should be able to do what you want.
I don't agree. I feel like we're making excuses for parents to be mentally and verbally abusive to their kid, because at the end of the day, we don't know if that woman is having sex with another woman in that house. 9 times out of 10, she's not bringing that girl over. It's just the mere fact that she likes girls on the outside is the problem. Like, let's just be honest here. It's not that you're bringing it to the dinner table and having her come over for brunch. It's the fact that, you know, when your daughter's outside leaving, she's with the same sex, and that's pissing you off. And I just think that that's so unfair to the LGBTQ community people, because it creates so much detriment to these people's mental. Like, it's really messed up. And I don't feel like enough people take it serious enough as they do other topics.
But in this particular case, isn't she grown? She's in her 20s. I mean, if this is something that she's not comfortable with, she's got to spread her wings and she's got to leave the nest in that sense. Now, I always compare it also to, you know, what if it was a drug abuse problem? And we're also supposed to be compassionate about people on addictions, and we're supposed to help them through their addictions. And if a parent says, I don't want those drugs in my house, if you're going to do the drugs in my house, I don't care if you're addicted or not, you got to get it out of here. I know that it's different when it comes to sexuality, but to some parents, that's the analogy, that's the parallel. So once again, I think it's bad if they're young, but when you're a grown adult and you're making these decisions and your parents don't like it, you have the option to leave the home.
I agree. You can't have it both ways. I want to do whatever I want when I want, but I don't want to pay the bills and be on my own. You can't have it both ways. I kind of think there is a little bit of that. I want to be able to do any and everything. You can't say anything about it. You can't have a say. Okay, well, you can do whatever you want, but there's also
It's
consequences.
not here, right? Yeah.
I mean, okay, Professor Cutie Pie says she can move out, but it's still hurtful, of course, and we are not being
for sure.
not being
disrespectful of that.
But maybe she can't afford to move out. So she can't be gay because she can't afford to move out. You know what I mean? Like,
well, as an adult, Armand, if you can't afford to move out, then maybe your focus shouldn't be on licking on anything, penis or vagina. You should probably be working on a job, and a conversation should be about your career path and not about your sexuality. Why are you 20-something years old and you can't get your own place? That is a bigger question. I'm not going to baby you because you're gay or a lesbian or anything. Just like I don't expect to be babied because I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you can't have it both ways. I'm going to do whatever I want. You can't say anything about it and pay my bills, Mom, and I'm 22. I think.
But that's not, okay, we're going to leave it at that. But to me, and to Al, smoking weed and doing drugs is not the same thing as being attracted to the same sex. We cannot compare that to drugs.
I mean, for some people, you got to understand, especially in the Bible Belt, some people, the same way they feel like you can pray away your gayness, some people think you can pray away your addictions of mine. It's just the mindset. Now, we know that it's not fair because we happen to be a part of the community and we didn't have a choice in this. But people who are not like that, who don't have that experience, don't feel the empathy towards us because we are. And it's just that simple.
I will say, and this is probably something we can all agree on, I do say, house rules aside, I do think her mother should be a little bit more compassionate to her daughter and maybe talk to her in a different way. I think that was a little rude, and forcing, if she's lesbian, she probably cringes at the thought of being with a man. So I think that was pretty rude to say that to her daughter. That was really rude, actually, and selfish.